If you're like me, you might be leery every time an unknown number pops up on your phone. It feels like every email, text, and phone call these days is just someone trying to separate you from your money. Since 2024, Saskatchewanians have lost $1.3 million to cryptocurrency scams. That's according to the Financial and Consumer Affairs Authority of Saskatchewan. And for Canada, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre says the reported amount of loss for Canadians is more than $388 million from 2024 to September 2025. And that's just the losses that have been reported. We know that there's a lot of people out there who feel embarrassed and would never tell anybody about what happened. So I'm Nicole Huck, and today on Blue Sky, we'll hear from a Prince Albert retiree who is warning others after he fell victim to a scam. We'll hear from experts about how these fraudsters are becoming more sophisticated and what you can do to avoid being caught up in a scam. So, have you been scammed? Maybe you've seen a family member or friend go through it and you tried to help. Maybe you've caught these criminals in the act. Join the conversation, 1-800-716-2221, or send an email to bluesky@cbc.ca. Well, seeing CBC host Rosemary Barton interview Prime Minister Mark Carney on TV is not unusual. That's what one Prince Albert retiree said he thought when he caught a CBC-branded segment on his smart TV earlier this year. But this particular interview never happened. It was a deep fake, made using AI to direct viewers to a fraudulent investment cryptocurrency site and defraud Canadians. Now, after losing close to $3,000, he's warning others. CBC's Katie Swires dug into this story and how big of a problem these AI videos are. She spoke to CBC's Morning Edition host Adam Hunter about it, and he first asked her about the Prince Albert retiree that this happened to.
Lynn Phaneuf is retired now, but for 39 years he worked as a teacher, and in some ways him reaching out to CBC and sharing his story is him still teaching. Before we sat down to do the interview, his wife jokingly told him to go save the other seniors, and he told me he decided to share his story so that others can learn from his experience in the hopes that it doesn't happen to them too.
I couldn't get my money back, but there's lots of people that are in danger of losing their money also. And you know what, if I can make it difficult for the guys that do this to get other people's money, I'm going to do it.
Lynn says he's usually pretty sharp with this type of stuff and able to spot it. He doesn't get caught up with fake emails or phishing scams, but he says that he fell for this particular scam, quote, hook, line, and sinker.
So how did Lynn get roped into this, Katie?
Yeah, so the scam took several weeks, and there was a fair bit of trust building involved. Real people were calling him to walk him through the investment platform. At least one of them was using the name of a real financial advisor working in Toronto. Lynn told me that he had suspicions at times, but there was always just enough reassurance to keep going until he had a fair bit of money that was tangled up in this. He likened it to being lost in the bush. Once you get lost, you stop believing in things that you should. And a big reason why he thought it was a legitimate investment opportunity is because he saw this video on a smart TV.
We pay a bunch of money for our TV, and our granddaughter watches Netflix, and my wife and I watch CBC News. That's it.
He says he still doesn't know what app or streaming channel he was on when he saw the fake segment, and this was also when the Prime Minister was announcing a lot of new projects.
It seems so real. And with all the stuff that's been going on with Mark Carney and trying to get housing going and this and that, I thought, this could be just one of those initiatives that is good for Canadians.
Lynn said he had time on his hands during retirement, and he thought it might be fun and interesting to try out the cryptocurrency platform. He said he never went in with the intention of making, quote, big money, and his initial investment was only a few $100s. While the profits were small, he said he made money with each investment.
So did he actually receive any of that money, Katie?
Yes, he did. So altogether, he estimates he was able to withdraw about 800 Canadian dollars, and it was only after he got that money, or some of that money, into his bank account that he moved forward with a bigger investment, 3,000 Canadian dollars. He said that was the highest amount he was comfortable investing and could afford to lose if things went wrong. When he tried to withdraw the bulk of that later, the so-called advisors stopped answering his calls. And without their help, he says he couldn't take any money out of the platform, and that's when something clicked for him.
And all of a sudden I realized, you know what? We're not playing with money that I made. We're playing with my own money. And I'm not getting my own money back.
Altogether, he figures he lost about 2,800 Canadian dollars. So unlike some, he did not lose his life savings.
So, Katie, a few weeks ago, we had the folks from Marketplace on talking about something very similar to this. So it seems like it's becoming a big problem. So just how common is this as these AI-generated videos are trying to dupe people?
It's huge. And, there are a lot of these videos. They're designed to make money by defrauding people. I spoke to Matthew Levine at the Media Ecosystem Observatory. So they started tracking these types of ads online during the last federal election, specifically on Meta platforms. He says social media platforms are well aware of the problem, but they only reactively take down the pages with the ads. They're not proactive. The observatory did a survey which found 24% of Canadians had encountered these types of deep fake videos that impersonate legitimate news organizations. And of course, that's only the people who recognize these videos are fake, not the ones that think they're real.
Our team identified more than 200 pages in Canada that bought these kinds of ads, and each of them bought multiple ads. The ad that was seen by the largest number of Canadians was seen by more than 100,000 of them. So it's a very big problem.
He said that the current terms of service for, say, Facebook requires ad buyers to self-declare whether or not an ad is using AI deceptively, which bad actors are not going to do. And because there are fewer restrictions for these types of online ads, Levine says that essentially anyone in the world can create a page and start defrauding Canadians. He says available information on some of these deep fake ads show fraudsters are intentionally targeting vulnerable people like seniors.
So we heard there, the one ad was seen by 100,000 people. That could be a lot of money. We're considering one person has lost about $3,000. So how much money overall is this costing Canadians?
A lot. So at minimum, $164 million from January to September this year.
Wow. It's a big number.
Yeah, and that's just according to the data from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, which is just one place, and that's just what's been reported to them. The real number is likely much, much bigger. Estimates are only between 5 and 10% of this type of fraud is reported. An added issue is that there are several different reporting processes for various agencies, which are sometimes separate. They track their numbers separately.
So did Lynn end up reporting this to police?
Yes, he did. Initially, the Prince Albert police told him they would not be taking the case further, despite telling him they were classifying it as theft. But once we reached out to them for comment, they took another look at Lynn's case and said it required additional attention and got back in touch with him. The Prince Albert Chief of Police, Patrick Nogier, said the initial assessment did not meet, quote, their expected standard of service. He said cases involving cybercrime are often beyond the capacity of mid-sized police organizations like the Prince Albert one.
I mean, we need to be upfront. We do not have the capabilities and the expertise. Our organization is very good at solving homicides, solving missing persons, solving aggravated assault, solving drive-by shootings. I mean, that's the world that we've been living in Prince Albert.
So the police say, say like Prince Albert, they're not able to investigate all these cyber crimes. They don't have the capacity. They are looking back into this case. With that said, how can people out there protect themselves, Katie?
Yeah, like a lot of experts are saying that education is really important for this type of fraud. It's becoming more sophisticated. AI is increasingly becoming more involved. And one tool that you can use is you can go to arethéregistered.ca to check if a company or financial advisor is registered to operate in Canada. Every single person and company you deal with financial measures should be registered. And then you can take Lynn's suggestion as well.
When somebody asks you for money on the internet, close your bank account. Don't let any money out, because there's a good chance that you'll never see it again.
Thanks for this, Katie.
You bet.
That was CBC's Katie Swires speaking with Morning Edition host Adam Hunter. And somebody who knows a lot about what we're talking about today is Natalia Stahanova. She hopes one of the classes that she teaches is making a difference. The University of Saskatchewan computer science professor teaches a cybersecurity course for seniors. Lynn Fanoff, who we just heard in that last story, ended up taking her course through the U of S's continued learning program. Her course is called Introduction to Cybersecurity and Digital Threats. Natalia, welcome to Blue Sky.
Thank you.
So what's your reaction when you hear Lynn's story there?
It's unfortunately a very sad story, but it's quite typical. I've been hearing a lot of stories like this lately, and it usually when this already happened and the person's been scammed and lost quite a bit of money.
What made you want to actually have a course dedicated for seniors about cybersecurity?
Well, senior side, the high risk of the cybercrime and online fraud. If I'm not mistaken, the latest FBI report that was released early this year showed that people older adults, those who are aged 16 over, definitely was a victim of these crimes. And if they do, they lose significantly more money than the younger victims.
Why would they lose more money?
Well, usually there are many reasons to that, but typically when you're at this age, you have more financial stability, and therefore you have more means, sort of
more money to lose.
More money to lose, yes.
Okay. And can you tell me like some of the stories that you're hearing? Is there a particular reason why people are signing up for your class? Do most people have they had a bad experience first, or is it preventative?
It's both, actually. There are a lot of people who have heard the stories from other people, from relatives, from news media, and wanted to get a little bit more information on how it happens, what they can potentially do, sort of preventative measures. But at the same time, I've seen stories like Lynn telling me privately that this is what happened to them or currently happening to their relatives, and they're trying to help them out. So what are the measures that can be taken? So they come into class trying to learn more to potentially prevent future attempts and help their loved ones.
We're talking with Natalia Stahanova, and she teaches a cybersecurity and digital threat course to seniors through the University of Saskatchewan's Continued Learning Project program. Natalia, do you know anything more about that, about how that one works when you hear the voice of one of your relatives?
I'm actually very glad that David brought it up. It's quite common these days. It's very easy to generate a video or an audio with someone else's voice or appearance. There are many examples of that happening. I guess in this case there wasn't much that they were able to do with the voice generation, but it could have definitely been more than that if David didn't hang up. The tools that are available today, the AI tools that are available today, allow you to create a very sophisticated and very believable audio and video clips. All you really need is just an example of that voice or that appearance of a person, and have a content that would perhaps appeal to a certain individual. So this is unfortunately the what comes with the advances in technology. The One of the things that David brought up was the fact that he was able to hang up. Unfortunately, for the older individuals, that's not the case. And I've heard this quite a bit from even the audience in my class. Being from the different generation, the social norms are different, and people have very difficult time hanging up in the middle of the call, even if they realize that there's something wrong with the call or something wrong with the video they're seeing. So I think this is one of the perhaps great preventative measures that your audience can take on.
You're giving people
Don't be
permission
afraid.
to be rude.
Yes, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to hang up in the middle of the conversation. If this is going to save your life savings, maybe it's worth it. That it's okay to be rude to those who are not your friends, not your relatives. Just perhaps this will be your saving moment.
Okay, this is permission that everybody needed to hear. Thank you, Natalia. We're going to bring in another guest right away here, but I want to make sure that our listeners know what we're talking about today. So if you just joined us, we're talking about scams. We've been hearing about how AI is being used to imitate people, potential victims, by making it sound like it's somebody that you know and trust, potentially your grandchild, potentially it's Mark Carney. We want you to be part of this conversation. If you've been scammed, someone tried to scam you, if you've seen a family member or friend go through it and you tried to help, you can call right now, 1-800-716-2221, or send an email to bluesky@cbc.ca. Now, Jeff Horncastle has been listening to the show so far. Jeff is with the Canadian Fraud Centre. And Jeff, welcome to Blue Sky.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
So you've been listening along. Anything stand out to you so far?
Yeah, I think that it's something that we discuss a lot. A lot of, we talk about overall reported dollar loss to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. You touched on, fraud being underreported, where we estimate that only 5 to 10% of victims report. But, everything we discuss is mostly all driven by technology. When we're talking about fraud, we're, whether even a phone call, where we're looking at caller ID spoofing.
When you say
AI,
caller ID spoofing, what does that mean?
So that means you get a phone call, for example, claiming to be your bank or your financial institution, your credit card company. Fraudsters have the ability to make your bank's phone number show up on your call display. So naturally, you try to match that phone number with a quick search online or the number on the back of your card, and it might match, right? So right from the beginning, they have you, right? No matter what.
So what do you do? Because I've actually this year had some fraudulent charges appear on my credit card. And when my bank tried to contact me to tell me about these fraudulent charges, I thought they were scamming me. So I just ignored calls from my bank and messages from my bank until I went and checked out my account and was like, nope, yeah, that's an actual charge. I need to call them. But how do you, and both of you, Natalia and Jeff, if you have thoughts on that next step when you're like, I think it could be true, I'm not sure, what is your next step?
The best thing to do with any incoming phone call, no matter how realistic it seems, let them know you'll call them back politely, or impolitely if they're being rude to you, right? So in this case here, you let them know you're going to call them back. Make the outgoing phone call to the number on the back of your card, or even better, if you live closer to your bank, go right into the branch.
We got an email here from Laura in Saskatchewan who writes, just yesterday I received a package that I had ordered through Amazon. I double-checked again. Amazon delivery said it would be delivered by Canada Post. Scammers seem to hook people rooted in authentic, real details, and I wonder how they hack into the system to get this information. So when I got the text message yesterday early morning that I would normally ignore, I clicked on the link believing it was from Canada Post. They were asking for an immediate payment of $3 through my credit card, threatening that if I did not pay for the package to be delivered to my mailbox that day, that my package will be returned. And I nearly fell for it. I mean, it was only $3. I'm glad I just simply did not pay. I decided to check my community mailbox first to see if in fact it had been delivered. My Amazon order had been successfully delivered by Canada Post, but I came so close to entering my credit card details through this text messaging link. Also, Canada Post has been in the news for going on strike, so I thought this could be real. I considered that maybe they're trying to reach out to customers in a new way, a good, evil scam. I tried to complain and send the phone number and information with screenshots to Canada Post or their customer service department. I was unsuccessful at contacting anyone at Canada Post by email or through their website. I am disappointed that there is no way to report or track these scam phone numbers. The scammers are becoming very sophisticated, and there is no way to track them. The key is to never give out information and always double-check sources. So that came to us from Laura in Saskatoon. Thoughts on that? Are you hearing things like that often? I mean, chances are somebody has ordered an Amazon package.
Yeah. So I'll let you go first, Natalia. Go ahead.
This is a very common and sort of a traditional type of phishing. The most people who are on the call right now probably have seen some messages like this. And the truth is, it doesn't matter when those messages are being sent. There will be someone who is expecting a package from either Amazon or Canada Post or through any other courier. So the chances of this scam being successful are extremely high. So what Laura did is a very good approach. Just simply don't pay and go verify that the package arrived. But generally, what I tell people is to when you're not sure, just check for three aspects: the urgency, the appeal, and the legitimacy. So those are the three things that scammers go for to convince people that this is a legitimate link and legitimate communication. So in this case, this was Canada Post. If there's urgency, you have to pay right away.
Or her package will be returned. Yeah.
Exactly. And the appeal, she wanted to have a package. So clearly, when all those three pieces come together, then this is a clear case of phishing. So yes, the best thing is to basically stop and pause and think how likely it is to be a scam, and if there's anything else you can do.
I feel like there's a lot of those emails that come in, and then you click on the link to go see what it is, what the thing is. Is that already too late? Is clicking on the link too late?
You shouldn't be clicking on any links.
Never click on links.
So that should be a rule. Unless you know the person individual, you should not be, and you're expecting an email with the link. You should not be clicking on any links, just to be safe.
Jeff, before we go to our next thing, do you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so I was just going to mention that fraudsters always try to capitalize on vulnerable situations or events that are going on. So, of course, it's a holiday season. A lot of Canadians are ordering, like Natalia mentioned, from all over the place. And sometimes it's easy to lose track what's being shipped from where. So, we have a lot going on in a rush. We typically, we might be more at risk. We might click on a link, whereas, in November or in October, maybe we wouldn't have. So they're just trying to capitalize on this time of year, and just remember to slow it down and take a step back before reacting quickly, and you'll save yourself from being a victim.
I want to bring in my colleague, Dan Zakreski. So unfortunately, these scams using AI that we've been hearing about on the show today are so frequent that today he found out that we were doing a scam show, and he was like, well, let me tell you, I'm working on a story. So Dan, he's in our Saskatoon studio. Tell me about the story that you're working on. Who did you meet?
Oh, hi, Nicole. Yeah, I met a woman named Jill Finn in Regina. She and her husband, Ian, were caught up in this latest wave of grandparent scams that we've been hearing about late November in Saskatoon, early December in Regina. Now, the Finns are 78 and 79 years old, and they were one of 7 couples targeted in Regina last week.
Wow. How did you know that there was 7 couples targeted in Regina?
The police put out a news release after they had the arrests, and I got the court documents, and they had the victims listed on there.
So that's 7 people who were willing to tell people that they got scammed.
Those were 7 people who complained to the police.
Yeah.
I phoned them, and Jill was the first person I called, and when she realized I wasn't calling her asking her for money,
Yeah.
she was
You're lucky she
more
didn't
than
hang up
happy.
on you.
Well, I gave her a preamble about, I can understand if you would be suspicious. So I gave her my bona fides and walked her through why it was important for us to get the particulars of what had actually happened to her.
So what did happen to her?
Well, the scammers called her and had her withdraw $6,875, a very specific number.
That is this very specific number.
Yeah, and truth is like any good lie, specificity helps. They had her withdraw it from the bank to bail out her granddaughter from jail, as is so often with these scams. So there was a scenario, and the scenario was the granddaughter had been involved in a car accident. She had reached for her phone, so there was a distracted driving element. The senior she hit, of course it's another senior, was rushed to hospital, was going to be all right, but the granddaughter was in jail, and they needed money to have her bailed out. That was the essence of the pitch.
So what made it so convincing? Why did she think it was her granddaughter?
Unlike, and I've covered these scams over the years, and as you had said earlier in the show, it always happens around, not always, but it often happens around Christmas. We get waves of them. In this particular case, unlike in other years, what made it so convincing for Jill was she swears up and down that it was her granddaughter who called. The young woman on the phone, aside from knowing the sort of typical details about Jill and her husband that you could harvest from social media, actually had her granddaughter's voice. And she was very specific. The inflection, the tone, the type of language, the up and down kind of lilting, Nana, oh, I've been in this accident. So there was the voice. And then secondarily, there was also a police officer, a purported police officer on the line, and they had phone numbers for lawyers to call.
Wow.
So it was a full
That's very
train
sophisticated.
caboose.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a locomotive and several cars all lined up together on this scam.
So when did she realize that something wasn't right?
They had given her. She bought into the scam initially. The granddaughter, or the young woman purporting to be the granddaughter, was crying on the phone. She had lots of detail. They had actually, Jill had actually gone to the bank and taken the money out.
Oh, wow.
In hundreds and fifties, a big fat wad of them.
That's how that's how they wanted the bail to be paid,
yeah.
is in hundreds and fifties? Okay.
Yeah, large bills. And take it back to the house because court's really busy, so we'll have a courier come to your house and save you the hassle. But in order to affect this whole process, there's a lawyer you can call who's going to be handling the bail. So they had the lawyer number for the lawyer. They called the lawyer to ask about a receipt, and it was an actual number of a Regina lawyer who didn't know that his name was being used in this scam. So when Jill phoned them, the lawyer goes, well, I don't know who you are or what you want, but I'm not representing your granddaughter, and maybe you should call the police about this. And that's exactly what she did.
So was she there for the sting?
Well,
was this a sting operation? Is this why you're involved in this story, Dan?
Oh God, I was hoping for that, and it was really close. What had happened was they were the bad guys, so to speak, were supposed to be sending a courier to her house to collect the money, which they had put in a shoebox and taped up as per their instructions.
Yeah, because that's how the
details are so
want
weird.
bail.
That's how it works. And as an aside, they kept on using American television descriptums. She had committed a felony. There was going to be a bail bondsman. It was all of these sort of weird descriptions. So Jill and her husband are waiting at the house. As soon as the lawyer says, call the cops, she says, well, it's not an emergency. I shouldn't phone 911. I don't want to, other people have more serious issues. They're going, look, the police will come right now. And they did, and they got there, and they were getting set up for the courier to come when an officer took a call saying, look, we've just arrested people on this, and there is going to be no courier. Incidentally, after that happened, they got a call back from the AI person again. Nana, I'm going to be let out of jail now. And they said, at this point, of course, they were completely suspicious. And they said, well, if you're our granddaughter, what kind of car are you driving? Because the granddaughter was a car buff. And they go, oh, well, it's my car, Nana. No, what car? Click. And that was the end of the call.
So smart. Are there any repercussions? Do we know what's happening to these people that got caught?
Well, we know that 2 people have been charged, and they're both from Quebec, and that always seems to be the case, or in recent history in Saskatchewan, the criminals are from Quebec. I talked briefly to Regina Police. They're not sure if there was an actual AI component in this because the calls were coming from out of province. They don't doubt Jill's story. They just haven't heard the calls themselves. But they certainly acknowledge that AI has been a phenomena, at least in the past year. I think anybody that's looked at AI stories, I do, as a complete digression here, I do AI songwriting, and you can plug
That's another
lyrics.
show.
Yeah, you can plug lyrics into a program and get an absolute identical human voice come back. So the idea of typing a script into a program or having a voice modulator that will imitate a voice that you want, it's all there to be done. To answer your original question, these 2 individuals have been charged with multiple counts of fraud. They're in custody. They had, I think, 5 victims in Saskatoon at the end of November, $45,000 in total.
Wow.
These are not insignificant sums. $6,000, $7,000, $10,000. I don't have that kind of money kicking around.
Yeah. Well, Dan, when can people see this story?
We're going to be rolling them out on Friday. And I would really urge people to read the web story because we'll have all the detail with the lawyer who helped them negotiate it through this. But just to hear Jill Finn tell her story, she sounds like everyone's grandmother. And she's so adamant, clear, focused. This was my granddaughter. She says, I'll go to my grave convinced that was my granddaughter's voice. It was just perfection. And it still haunts her that she knows it wasn't because she spoke to her after.
Yeah. Well, I think she's smarter for it. And I'm grateful for her for sharing that story with you because I'm sure there's some listeners right now who might get a call from a granddaughter or grandson in the next month here. And this could be the thing that saves them. So thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
That's Dan Zakreski. He is a reporter with CBC Saskatchewan. And if you've had someone try to scam you using this technique, give us a call at 1-800-716-2221 or email bluesky@cbc.ca. Natalia Stahanova, you are dealing with people who are taking your class. You teach a cybersecurity class, and specifically with seniors. She did something right there, right? She asked the person on the phone about what kind of car. Can you give some tips on what you should do in this situation so that you can suss out and find out who you're actually talking to? Are there code words that you should be developing? Tell me a little bit about what you should be doing.
You're absolutely right. She did exactly what she should have done on the first instance. So typically, what we tell people is it is a very distressful situation, absolutely. But try to ask personal details beyond those that are available on social media or LinkedIn profiles. So it has to be something that very unlikely to be revealed anywhere online. What I also recommend people to create those code words or tokens that they can exchange among themselves within the family. So only the family members would know a code word or a number. Think of it as a PIN that they can request over the phone in case someone sounding like your family member will call. So this very simple tricks will at least allow you to pause and reassess the situation that is happening on the phone. And typically this is the major concern, right? The people don't have time to stop and think whether this is a correct, realistic situation, or it seems to be a scam.
I want to read a couple emails here. Keith writes, I had a call from a scammer that sounded exactly like my nephew with a cell phone accident, in jail, needing bail, like Dan just mentioned, but he couldn't answer my questions and he hung up. So people are doing the right thing, it sounds like. Ken writes, a few years ago, a longtime acquaintance died and left a message of condolences on the website of the funeral home. Since then, I've been contacted 3 times by an unknown lawyer esquire telling me that I was named, just a second here, telling him that I was named as a beneficiary of the estate. Obviously, I have not replied, but I was taken aback by the breadth of ideas and methods that scammers will use to get your money. Buyer beware is the new world order here. So, yeah, people looking at anytime you post something online, people are looking seemingly to use that for their financial advantage. Jeff, what role does the Canadian Fraud Centre play in this? Like, how often do you get reports from people? Do people contact police and you? How do you know that you're getting a good picture of what's going on in the country right now?
Yeah, so great question. Our advice is to, if you have been a victim, report to your local police. Very important. They can investigate directly, but report to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre as well. Even if you've been a target of fraud, where you have important details, phone numbers, payment information, bank account information, it's all useful information that can be reported. We mentioned earlier, fraud is very underreported for a few reasons. There's shame, embarrassment, a lot of stigma around fraud. And that's what we're trying to get around, right, is just having those conversations. And I think, when we talk about the grandparent scam, we have a responsibility as maybe the younger generation, to have conversations with their family members as well, just to let them know that this scam is circulating. Those conversations could go a really long way as well. Code word is a great thing. But getting back to what we do is we share the information very quickly with Canadians to protect them for awareness and education. We work with private sector companies for disruption, so we can disrupt websites, right? And we also support investigations not only in Canada but internationally as well, with Interpol and Europol, to name a couple. So a few different reasons to report to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. You can do so online, report cyber, and fraud.canada.ca.
And I just want to be clear that it's not just seniors who are falling victim to these scams. I personally know of 3 single men who have been targeted. The person who befriended them online was supposedly a beautiful young woman who just happens to also be very smart at crypto investing, and develops a relationship with them. And money is, says, I will let you in on some of my secrets here. And then when people go, maybe they've lost some of that money. Maybe they're supposed to meet up with that person, something happened, they don't show up. None of these men that I know will have ever reported that. It's embarrassing to them. So I just want our listeners to know that if they've had something happen like this, it's like people prey on relationships and people's wanting to develop a friendship with somebody.
That's a great point. And I'm just going to mention that only in 2024, for example, 27% of overall reported losses were from Canadians 60 and over. So 73% of those losses were from Canadians 60 and under. Okay. So fraud can happen to anyone and everyone, and it's important just to have those discussions in general, to educate ourselves and to make it to protect ourselves at the end of the day.
I'm going to try to squeeze in one call. Dave is in Saskatoon. Dave, you have like 40 seconds, so give me the Close Notes version.
Okay, so I fell prey to a scam on Sirius FM. They sent me an email about a deal that I was going to get, and then I actually gave them my credit card number, and and just at the last minute I realized that it was probably not real, and I was able to cancel my credit card or turn off my credit card, and so they didn't get any of my money. But they did actually. It happened so fast. Like I just, I basically clicked on it. And then seconds later, they were taking stuff out of my account, and I was able to so it was so fast, and it looked very realistic. So, it could happen in an instant.
Dave,
it's not because I'm a senior either.
No, it's not because you're a senior. Dave, I appreciate you calling because someone might get that same one. So thank you so much. We are coming up to the very end of the show here. I'd like to thank the guests we've had today, Jeff Horncastle, who's with the Canadian Fraud Centre, with Natalia Stehanova. She's the University of Saskatchewan's computer science professor and also teaches a course for seniors through their U of S continued learning program on cybersecurity and digital threats. So if you're interested in that, you can take that course.